All right, I thank everyone for joining. We're going to begin our meeting at this time. I just want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded and the recording will be made available. Uh, I would like to ask if anyone has their microphone unmuted, that you would mute your microphone so that there's no feedback. And I believe I'm going to share my screen for most of the time so that you can see everything that I'm able to see. But I would like to welcome you to the first meeting of the Finance Committee for the Brentwood Homeowners Association. My name is Michael Spencer, and I am the chair for the Finance Committee. And our the purpose of this committee is to assist in the preparation of the annual budget and also to track association expenditures. Uh, Right now, there are not very many members of this committee. It actually officially consists of myself and another individual named Amanda. We welcome anyone that would like to join the management committee. Uh, we welcome you to join. There's no criteria for you to join. Our meetings take place on the fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m. So today, what we're going to discuss, we plan on discussing the draft 2023 budget. Uh, we plan on discussing the payment frequency for annual payments, and if we have time, we'll look into exploring the possibility of a 2-year budget. However, I suspect this meeting will consist primarily of the draft 2023 budget. With that being said, I'm going to bring up on the screen uh, a copy of the draft 2023 budget. Now, this document is loaded onto the Century portal. Let me go ahead and share it. This document is currently loaded on the front page of the Century portal for all to see. But if you are unable to view, uh, if you're unable to view that document from the portal, then you can always just look at your screen here. And I would ask if you have any questions pertaining to whatever we're talking about, if you could uh, hold your questions until the end because your question may possibly be answered. And if it's possible, if you could write your question down, then and raise your hand, then we'll get to your question. So want to make sure everybody can see the screen here. I'll be making adjustments as we move on throughout this meeting. Uh, so let's see. Okay, can everyone see the 2023 proposed draft budget version 2? If you can see that, can you give a thumbs up? If you're able to see it, give a thumbs up. Okay, I thought I saw something pop up. Uh, well, as we move on, if there's anyone that cannot see and you need me to make adjustments, just raise your hand. Okay, I see one thumbs up, so we're gonna move on. Uh, so the first thing I want to do is from this document, the first thing that I want to address, I guess I'll go with the most important aspect of this first, and then I'll explain exactly how we got to this point. So the first thing I want you to see is on this draft 2023 budget, our annual association dues. I'm going to scroll down to it, and I know this document is very difficult to read, uh, uh, but but I'll try to explain it as best as possible. I'm hovering my mouse over annual proposed 2023 assessment amount. That amount is $785. And I'm sure there's a collective gasp going on right now. And I understand your gasp, and we're going to explain exactly what that means. So we know that this is an increase of $185 from what we paid or what we are paying in 2022. And this number is based on a few factors. So I'm going to give you some of these background factors first so that we'll have a baseline to talk about. I'm going to scroll up to the top of this document, and you see here the number of units is 540. So with 540 units at $785 per unit per year, the proposed income you see here is $423,900. Does anyone have any questions just about that part yet? If so, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I do. I have a question. Oh, what exactly all does that fee cover besides just? I just want to make sure I'm understanding that amount and what all is covering. Is it covering more than just that one item?
Absolutely, it's going to cover a myriad of things, which we're going to talk about today. Okay.
Okay. And then I had one other question. There's a limit? I noticed that.
Hello, hello.
Hello? Yeah, okay. I couldn't hear you. You couldn't hear me?
Okay. I don't know what happened, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and I was saying that also I noticed, I guess you can explain to us along with that fee, what all is included, because it looks like every year we're going up over $100 in our HOA fees. So that's going to be kind of broken down somewhere along the way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I really just wanted to make sure that everyone understood how we got the $423,900 in our income line right here. And again, I'll move my mouse over it right now. So the next thing that I want to address is there's a line called allowance for doubtful accounts. Now, I don't want anyone to jump to any major conclusions about this because and to think that this is the primary reason for an increase that's so great. I want you to see here this allowance for doubtful accounts. What that means, that is simply people that we are anticipating will not pay their assessments in 2023. Again, please don't think that this is the primary reason why our HOA fees are going to go up by $185. I will explain. So let's just talk about this for a second, though. Again, you see that it's we're estimating $11,775. This is 15. We're estimating that 15 homeowners will be delinquent on paying their HOA assessment fee of $785. In 2022, we estimated that 12 homeowners would be delinquent in paying this the $600 assessment. That's why if you see on this line, and I'll try to hover around it, that number for the 2022 budget was $6,000, and all that is that's just our 540 units times 12.
Mike, it was 10.
I'm sorry, 10.
That's okay. I'm here to help you, my friend. We're
Okay.
a team. Sorry, man.
All right. So another thing I want you to see here is the delinquency rate as of right now. Now, this number here, it says the 2022 actual delinquency rate. That number is actually closer to $4,500 now. and we're in the month of August. So with that number of delinquencies, what we're trying to do is we're trying to anticipate the delinquency rate for 2023 to be at 15 homes. I wanted to look at
Can I ask a question before you go on?
yes. So I have to go back and forth between screens, so I don't know who's speaking. Can you tell me who's speaking?
Ivy Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
I was asking because I know when we first started, y'all said you were behind. So are we still behind a lot? Has a lot of people still not, we haven't caught up to that number that we were missing all this time?
So actually, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, and I may I'll discuss. Well, you know what? I'll talk about it a little bit now.
I'm just asking because is that another factor for these numbers? Because if we're still behind and they're still not paying, then is that affecting these numbers?
It does, but it doesn't affect it to the level that you would think. Again, I want to stomp my foot on this. The main reason for the increase that's this amount is not because of delinquencies. That is a problem, and that problem is being addressed. And some of the things that are being done to mitigate those delinquencies are individuals can get on a payment plan, a notice of lien or intent to file a lien is sent to the homeowner. A lien is filed on the homeowner's home, and then if none of that works, then more aggressive measures are taken. For example, wage garnishments or even home foreclosures. And these processes are in place right now, and those steps are being taken right now by the board for people that are delinquent right now. So people are not, quote unquote, getting away with not paying their HOA fees. Does that clear it up a little bit?
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. So the next thing I want to look at is what's really the primary reason for the high increase. And I'm going to skip past these expenses. And I don't know if everybody's familiar with this document, but this is a document that's sent to every homeowner every year. Towards the end of the year, a proposed budget is sent. Then there's a meeting to discuss the proposed budget. And then the approved budget that's approved by the board of directors is sent to every homeowner. But I'm gonna skip past this section here with these expenses, and I want to go down to the reserves for replacement, and in particularly the reserves for repairs and replacements. Now, what you're going to see here is the 2022 number was $5,000. That's how much we earmarked for reserves for repairs and replacements. However, in 2023, we are reserving over $18,000 for reserves and replacements. Now, this is the primary reason for that major increase. And it's based off a law that was recently passed. It's a House Bill 107. And this bill, it's titled the Cooperative Housing Corporations, Condominiums, and Homeowners Association Reserve Studies Bill. It was passed, passed in May, on the 29th of May. It's actually going to go into effect on the 1st of October of this year. And I'll actually try to bring up a copy of that. Here's the main part of this bill. So besides saying that every HOA has to have a reserve study done, it also says that we have 3 years, it's 3 fiscal years following the fiscal year in which the initial reserve study was completed, to attain the reserve funding level recommended in the initial reserve study. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on this. What happened was, I don't know if you all remember what happened in Florida with the condominium collapsing. And apparently there was a couple of instances here, I believe maybe possibly in PG County. Well, as a result of those instances, there was a law that was on the books that has been modified, and that's what House Bill 107 does. Initially, there was a requirement for every HOA to do a reserve study in PG County and in Montgomery County, but not the rest of the state. What this bill does is it makes that law applicable to the entire state of Maryland, because Governor Hogan doesn't want the same type of situation happening that happened in Florida. So that is the reason why we have to have this increase. So what happened was, back in April of this year, the board conducted a reserve study. They got a company called Miller Dotson Capital Reserve Consultants to do a reserve study. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up that reserve study and go to certain pages that are of interest. First page I'm going to go to is page 9. And again, these documents are loaded on the Century portal right now, right on the home page. So according to this, and I know this is very, very small. I'll try to increase the size. What we were giving was $5,000 a year. And you can see that on our budget. You see here our 2022 amount. It was $5,000. What this reserve study basically says is, if we continue to contribute $5,000 a year, based off what we would be required to repair and replace annually, by the year 2027, we will be at a deficit. That's what this minus $17,000 is, and that's the in-year balance in our reserves for replacements. So on our budget, if we were to continue to give this $5,000, our reserve study says that is insufficient. Now, I want to make sure that everybody's clear on this part. The reserves for repairs and replacements, it's an annual contribution that we have to give. That's regardless of how much is in our reserves. So there's an account that we have that is designated for reserves. But this number, the $18,654.33, this is how much the reserve study says we have to add to that every single year. And it's based on the fact that certain things that we have are going to require repairs. They're going to require replacements. Things break down. This is the problem that was experienced in Florida, where they weren't keeping up on their repairs, and then you see a condominium collapse. So I want to make sure that everybody is clear on the fact that this is an annual contribution. This is not a one-time thing. This is not once we reach $18,000, then we're good. No, we have to keep giving that.
I do have a question.
Who's speaking, please?
This is Bruce Odell.
Uh-huh.
Just real quick, with this thing was projected out to 2027 before we became a deficit. Why is it that we now need a little over $18,000 every year, which means that we would be in a surplus every year?
That is incorrect, sir. I will explain.
Okay.
So it's much worse than you think.
Okay.
I hate to say it. It is much worse than you think, because I'm going to go to, let's see, what page am I looking for? Let's look at page 10 of the reserve study. So Yeah, my heart sunk too when I saw this. My heart sunk.
I'm sorry, I have a question. This is Paula Epps. I know you say this is based off the condominium situation happening in Florida, but we don't own condominiums. So how does it affect us? And what's in the reserves of repair and replace? What exactly are we repairing and replacing, and how frequently are we repairing and replacing that we need that amount of money in reserve?
So this reserve study is online. You are more than welcome to read the entire document. It outlines it in great detail. I'm not going to get into that in this meeting. However, I will say that everything that we have here, all of the tot lots, the facilities, if we need anything, things are going to require repair. You know, there's certain things like I've seen things just recently where there were sinkholes and things that needed to be repaired. All of these things are illustrated in this reserve study. And they actually have an algorithm that they use. They say, okay, well, what year was this particular thing built? How long is it supposed to last? How long has it been since it's been built? When do you expect it to be needing to be repaired or replaced? All of this is laid out, and they allocate dollar amounts for every single thing. So this is a very exhaustive study that was completed that goes not just to 2027. It goes all the way out. If you look here, it really goes all the way out to 2060. So they really did an exhaustive study of these repairs. Now, I'm getting back to the previous gentleman's question when he said, hey, well, once we reach the 18,000, aren't we good? Absolutely not. What we have to do is we actually have to get to an amount, and this is every single year, of contributing $47,659 every single year. And it's even worse than that. The story just gets more and more bleak. I hate to say it. I'm going to go on to page 11, and I want to show you this. What we have to do is we have to allocate for inflation. So when we allocate for inflation, that actual 47,000 that you see here, that's 47,000 in 2022 that they're saying that we have to contribute annually every single year in order for us to not be at a deficit. Well, in 2023, that 47,000 jumps up to 50,000. In 2024, and this is because of inflation. In 2024, that number increases to 53,000. In 2025, that number increases to 55,000. So the real goal by 2025 is for us to be contributing $55,000 a year, every single year. So you may be asking, well, why aren't we contributing 55,000 a year right now? You know, why don't we just start off at that number? Because we really believe that would be an undue hardship. I mean, nobody's going to jump from if we were to go to 55,000 a year this year, our HOA fees would increase from $600 to $850. Next year, we would be paying $850 in order to be in compliance with that HB 107.
Hey, Mike, I think it's important for them to understand that even without, and definitely highlighted that is accurate. I think it's important for the homeowners to understand that. I don't know if y'all know who I am. I'm Thomas McGee, and I'm the treasurer, and Mike and I work together on this. But I think it's important for you all to understand that we had a budget surplus.
Excuse me, can you speak up, please?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. We had a budget surplus for in 2022. Sorry, 2021 and 2020. And so to improve services this year, we leveraged the surplus to enhance the services that are provided. And so in order for us to kind of stay at the same level, the fees would automatically go up.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And I want to thank you all for giving that explanation. Do we anticipate these fees to go up every year?
Mike, am I
Yes,
taking
sir.
that
Yes,
one?
sir.
You?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry, I was on mute. So here's what I'm anticipating. In order to get to the number that we need to get to, the 55,000, we're only uh, allocating 18,000 this year. I'm sorry, in 2023. In 2024, we're going to allocate a little over 37,000. And then by 2025, we're going to be at the $55,000 level. Now, the reason we're doing this is we just simply took that 55,000 number and divided it by 3. We divided it by 3 because House Bill 107 says we have 3 years to get to the level. So just to make the math easy for everybody to understand, we'll do 1/3 of the required allocation this year. We'll do 2/3 of the required allocation next year. And then the year after that, we will be at our full allocation of 55,000.
So we do anticipate increases in the association fees.
Yes, and I believe I mentioned it before in 2020. Maybe I didn't get to that part yet. Yeah, I didn't get to that part yet. But I'll say it now. In 2023, we anticipate the HOA fees being $785. In 2024, we anticipate the HOA fees being $815. In
Can I stop
2025,
you before?
I'm sorry.
Aren't they study built-in houses? So why is the thing still going up?
Because we're not at the $55,000
I'm
a
saying, but
year
they're
level.
still building houses, and that means
So,
more people are going to be here.
and this is just an estimation. This is if all things are considered equal right now. So,
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry. I'd like to know if what was it, one independent study done, or was it 3 different independent studies done on 3 economic or microeconomics locations?
I don't understand the nature of that question, but I will say that there was only one study done. And I do know that there was a dollar amount associated with getting that study done, and expenditures had to come out of HOA fees. I'm not sure if Thomas
Yeah,
has that
it's
dollar amount.
no. It was $2,800 that was budgeted for this year. That sorry, we spent $2,800. We budgeted 35, so we came in under. It was one firm used, and they had to be certified by the homeowner, the association. I can't think of the name of the entity right now. They had to be a certified association, and this firm is well known within the in the industry, the top in the state of Maryland.
So I
I
just want
have
to
a
make sure.
question.
Who's speaking?
My name is Miss Batts.
Okay.
So I want to clarify, the requirement is to be at the $55,000 mark within the next 3 years.
Correct.
And after that, so is that the dollar amount that they're recommending we maintain? Because then you're saying 55,000 a year. Is the recommendation that we maintain a $55,000 reserve?
No,
Or
the recommendation is that we contribute $55,000 every year to the reserves.
okay, so after the first 3 years, so we're taking 3 years to get to that 55, the initial 55,000. Is that
Correct.
what? Okay, and then after that, we need to contribute an additional 55,000 per year.
Absolutely. Now, the story gets even more bleak. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's even worse than that because every 5 years we have to do a new reserve study,
Correct.
and I'm pretty sure it's going to go up higher than that after we get another reserve study done. Because like the other person mentioned, we're going to have more facilities, we're going to have more houses, probably more tot lots, probably more this, more that. So that $55,000 is not going to be just forever. It's going to change more than likely at least every 5 years. It's going to change.
Okay, and
So
then
Mike,
do
let
you
me
have one other follow-up
okay.
question? Do you have an estimate of what facilities will be prepared from year to year, what the plan is for repair?
If
So
you
that
look
we
at
can,
the reserve study, I'm not exactly sure what pages it's on, but it outlines everything, every single thing that we have. It outlines what it is. I mean, I'm just kind of scrolling through right now. I really can't get to it because
And
I'm not
I
super
will
familiar
look at
with
it.
it. But
Yeah.
it says every single thing that we have that requires repair, how much it would require to repair it, how long it's supposed to last.
Correct.
All of that information is included in this study.
So
And
let me get, let
I'll
me,
look at those details, but I'm wondering, I'm familiar with reserve studies and HOAs. What my question is this is a recommendation based on the average life of the facility. So that doesn't mean if they say, oh, next year you should have to replace this tot lot. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be true. It's just in the event this is the average life of a tot lot. So in the event that we don't have to um, replace that particular facility or item, then you just don't have to. It has not eroded or it does not need a repair. I'm asking, has your office or some other team evaluated what does in fact need to be repaired in the next year or even the year after that?
yeah, I can kind of help you there, ma'am.
Okay.
And I see where you're going with it. So this year, let's use this year as an example. We we came into a situation where the association was in just the community was in disrepair. So what we did, we went through and did a maintenance blitz, right? Did the maintenance blitz to you saw them resurfacing the tot lots, you saw them bringing our grounds up to um, code. I mean, not code in terms of to kind of get the soil pH done. So we did leverage it. So it started us down this path of bringing the community back into, I'm going to say, good repair. And the last effort that we have to do for this year is the fences, right? So once we complete that work for this year, then we will go on a 1 to 2 year cycle. So for example, this year we resurfaced all the tot lots. All the tot lots got new surfaces. So under the recommendation in the study is to come back and resurface the tot lots in 2 years. So, but we had to bring the community rather, into a state of good repair. Does that help you?
It does. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I just want to clarify and make sure my neighbors understand that it doesn't necessarily mean everything will fall apart as as the analysis has laid out. It's just a recommendation based on average life of these things.
That's correct.
And so trying to understand what is in line to get repaired. In fact, that it does need to be repaired. And if we continue to maintain our facilities, then I've been in homeowner HOAs where the HOA went down because we had enough reserve to cover in the event that something does need repair.
That's
So
actually right.
okay, so it would be good also to understand what we have in the pipeline coming up soon. That no, in fact, this does need to get repaired, so we need to be prepared to pay for that in the near term.
The near term is for this year would be, I would say that this year is the fences. So for this year, we're gonna spend, I mean, just back we've already spent 30 out of the
Mhm.
reserve. So by the time we do the fences, and it's back of the envelope, so don't hold me to it. We probably would have spent about $58,000 just to bring the community back into good repair.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that's not
I just
replacing
want to
anything.
clarify something. I wanted to clarify something. Regardless of what we spend out of our reserves,
That is absolutely right.
we are still required to do 55,000. So if something doesn't need to be repaired, that does not mean HOA fees will go down.
That's
It
right.
means that we just have more just sitting in our reserves. House Bill 107 says we are required to contribute $55,000 regardless of what's sitting in our reserves. Now, once we do another reserve study, then based on what's sitting in our reserves, it may the annual required amount may possibly go down, but that won't happen unless we do another reserve study. The law says we have to comply with the dollar amounts listed in the reserve study, and that has nothing to do with how much money we have sitting there.
That is
And so
absolutely correct.
I will get up to speed on that new law, because I have another property and we have over $1 million in reserve, and we do not need to continue to collect at that level, because we have more than enough reserve in place. And so what we did on that, which I am a member of that HOA, we dropped the assessments, the annual assessments, because we did not need to continue to collect. We were already at a very high surplus of reserve. But if there's a new law in place, maybe I'm not familiar with it. So I'll get up to speed on that.
And just one more point of clarification. The reserve study takes into consideration how much you have sitting in your reserves at that time of that study.
Okay,
So if
then
we
that makes
just happen to get a huge influx of money, we would be required to do another reserve study to see if we could reduce it. And that would
okay.
be up to, the powers that be on whether or not they want to spend another $2,700 on another reserve study ahead of schedule.
Yeah, now that makes sense. Now that makes logical sense to me. So thank you for that additional clarification, and thank you for the time. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Can I ask something quickly?
Is this the person that has their hand up?
Yes, it's me, Linnea Johnson.
Okay.
I'm on Whittington Street. So I understand, I'm looking at the study, we're reading it to the side while we're listening to this. What are the other, I know you're saying this is the major factor. So just for clarity, what are the other factors that are contributing to the increase?
One of the ones,
this increase for the allocation for the reserves.
So one of the ones I've already mentioned, the allowance for doubtful accounts, and I'm actually going to get to some of those other ones as I move on. That's actually some of the things that I'm going to move on to right now, as a matter of fact. So if you look at the budget again, I have a couple of things highlighted. The things that I have highlighted here, you see here this vendor Outdoor Creations. This is the company that we use for our landscaping contract. And I know that these are some pretty high numbers. One thing that's being considered right now is the possibility of renegotiating this particular contract to see if we can get a better rate. I have no idea. I'm not really a part of that committee, so I don't know what the going rate for landscaping services are. But another thing that's being considered as we speak is the management fee here. We have Century Management as our management company, and we're paying a management fee of $56,000, a little over $56,000. And then there's also management support, which is not much, relatively speaking, about $2,750. So those two contracts are currently being looked at for possible renegotiation or going with other vendors. Those are the main, very high dollar items that give us this HOA fee of the 2023. It'll be $785. Those are the main things here. Now you see, if you look on the budget here, you see all of these expenses. All of this contributes to what our HOA fee is going to be. So you have to basically take what your income is. You have to subtract what we are anticipating for doubtful accounts or homeowners that will not pay in 2023, and then you have your starting total here, and then you have to start subtracting all your bills. These are all of our expenses, all of our things from Outdoor Creations, from our trash removal, which we pay.
Right. Specifically for the ones where the proposed budget in 2023 is higher than what was already in our ending budget at the end of 22. So I saw, as you were scrolling through, it looks like that little increase is negligible. So this increase here, as far as the trees, sod, and plants, where we were at a proposed of 21, and now it's saying proposed is over double.
Well,
so what can we speak to what that is? Can we speak to?
Yes, ma'am.
The
If
other
you
ones
look,
where there's an actual significant increase from what we had allotted for 2022 and now what we're saying we're doing in 2023.
so if you look at trees, sods, and plants, you see in 2022 we allocated 21,000. As of right now, and we're just still in August, we're up to over 19,000 right now. We're going to spend over $21,000 in this year of 2022. We're going to spend more than what we allocated. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to anticipate what we think is going to be spent. Now, I don't have the full details. I think Thomas can speak to
Yeah,
that.
I can help you there. So the outdoor creations contract has, so Mike, can you do me a favor? Highlight the grass, the lawn cutting thing. So it cost out each service level. So in FY 2022, we brought outdoor creations in middle of third quarter. Sorry, in middle of first quarter. So we have to fully fund the contractual requirement for 2023, excuse me, which would require us to fulfill all of the services that are outlined there. And so that's where the tree and sod pieces come in. Does that help you, ma'am?
Thomas, this is Theron.
Hey,
I'm the
yeah,
landscaping committee
yep,
chair. I can add to that.
yep.
So ma'am, so that 48,000 that you're looking at, it is definitely double, but that is what is in the contract. That is if we replace a certain amount of trees. That is just a projected amount. If we decide we don't need to replace as many trees, which the landscaping committee is trying to do, we may not have to pay that money. But that's the anticipated cost. But we definitely can reduce that cost by not having them replace shrubs if they become broken or things of that nature. So that is the contract that what Outdoor Creations agreed to. We don't have to spend that amount of money if we decide that we don't need X amount of shrubberies or sod replaced.
Thanks, Theron.
We would still, if we were at 21, if we're still budgeting 21,000, we would still have some money towards trees, sod, and plants. We just wouldn't be doubling what we're spending to do that in the next year. So it's not like we're saying there will be no money. We're just saying 21,000 is what we have for the year to spend versus increasing it by the additional 27,500.
So what we try
So
to
the
do.
reason, Thomas, so the reason why, so when we rebid the new contract, the numbers projected in that you see there at 21,000 was the last contract numbers.
Right.
The new contract, I mean, there was a new request for proposals. We had landscaping companies come out and give us their bids. We went with this one for the best bang for our buck. However, even the lease contract bid that came in was still $40,000 more than what we were currently budgeting. So I'm saying that to say all of the bids came in substantially higher than the previous contractor, and the previous contractor did provide a bid, and his bid even came in substantially higher.
Okay, so I don't want to go too much further because we're right at about an hour. I did want to reiterate the fact that the annual HOA fees are anticipated to be $785 next year. Now, this is based on a budget. Now, we have to publish this budget based on the contractual obligations that we have right now. So even though we may not use the amount of money that's allocated for all of these different things, we have to budget for it because that's what the contract says. So I hope everybody's clear on that.
I understand that part. I was just doing quick math to figure out what's building into, because people's question is going to be, if I'm going from 600 to 180 to 785, then we're looking for $185 in increase to the budget. So I'm just doing quick math numbers based upon what the increases are. So the $18,000 increase that needs to happen for the reserves per the bill breaks down, we're talking about $25 a household for the year to get to that 18. Even if we had budgeted for the full 50,000 additional, so we were budgeting 5,000. If we go to 55,000, which was the requirement, even if we were to do that $50,000 additional, and I'm going to divide it by 500 households, because even if I take into those doubtful accounts, I'm saying if 40 people don't pay, that's still, we're coming out around $100 per household. So that's about half of the increase. So when I'm asking about these other numbers, it's so that I know specifically where the line items are coming into play that are building in addition to the increase for the funding that we have to have, that's getting us to the 185.
So if you never,
That's where my question was
so
coming
if you,
from.
yeah, so if you looked at version, and that's why we did 3 versions of, I mean, excuse me, that's why we did 2 versions, and then the third one will come out. That's why we did 2 versions of the budget. So if you even looked at, if you go back and look at version 1 of the budget, it showed to fully fund all of our contracts, and to fully fund all our contracts, and to fund the reserve at current levels. At current levels, the fee would be 730. Fee would have been 739. That makes sense to you. So when we did version 2 of the budget, we went back to kind of look at the reserve study, understand what the requirements are of the reserve study, and then look at what's our delinquency rate, quarter over quarter. How much are we carrying every single quarter? And we carry between $12,000 and $15,000 a quarter, just in the current quarter, of homeowners who have not paid in the current year. So for this year, for current homeowners right now, we have a total delinquency for current homeowners of $54,383 and some change. Of that, approximately $12,000 of that is just for this year. So when we looked at, well, where do we need to sit from a tolerance level, a risk level for next year, Mike and I went back and forth, and we settled on we need to be at between 15 and 20 homes. And what we put in version 2 is 15 homes will be delinquent based upon the the assessment fee. Further, Mike, can you go to income for a second? Up to the income line. I want to show you how budgets were built in previous years. In previous years, the board factored in late fee income and initial fee income. So late fee income, if someone was late, they factored that in. They said, okay, well, we're going to have $3,000 in late fees. And initial fees was every time a new homeowner bought a net new property, they would pay, an initial fee of $500. We will not have any net new homes built next year. And we're making the choice not to repeat bad behavior and encourage people to be late. And therefore we balance the budget on late fee income. So what we said is, as we approach 2023, we're going to balance the budget on what it really should be balanced on, and that is the assessment fee. What does it cost? What does the fee need to be to provide goods and services that the homeowners require? What does it cost? And what should that assessment be? And that's how we got here to where we are today. Does that
So
help?
for the number, because somebody originally asked about the outstanding balances for homeowners that had not paid. You just indicated that number is about 54,000, but only in the calendar year, you're budgeting for the 11,775. So
That is
where
correct.
in this budget is it taking into account the previous debt to the negative income where that should have been paid in, but hasn't been received yet? Where is that being allocated in this budget?
We only show that for 1 year. What do we anticipate for this year? Excuse me, for the budget year that we're going into, and that's the allowance for doubtful accounts. If we increased it to the amount of money of outstanding debt or delinquency that we currently have, we're either going to do one or two things: increase the fee or cut. So what we've chosen to do is to look at what's the amount of debt that or delinquencies that we carry from quarter to quarter, and kind of settle on what that needs to be for the current for the year for the budget year that we're going into. And so that's how we got to 15 homes. Every quarter, we have run about between $12,000 and $15,000 of delinquencies on accounts. And the question to me gets asked, well, are we better off today than we were when we took over? And the answer to that, ma'am, is we're about the same. Even though the board has put the steps in place that Mike has talked about, we're still sitting at about the same. We were at $58,000 in December when this board took over. We're at 54 total, 54, 385 or whatever I told you it was, for current homeowners this year. And so the entire collections process is a lengthy one. So it's not like we're going to recover fairly quickly. I hope that helps you.
Okay, we have another hand up. Marilyn, are you there?
Hello, yes, I am. I just have a couple questions because it seems that the reason we're in such, every time we listen to the, my husband and I log into these meetings is a lot of financial stress. So basically when the builder turned over the responsibility to the HOA, they gave us a mess. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
When the builder was, were they acting as a de facto HOA when they had responsibility?
Yes, ma'am.
They were acting as the actual HOA. The
Yeah.
builder served
Right.
more two hats.
So, right. So if they're acting as the HOA, they have a fiduciary duty of care, which they breached. And then saddled the new HOA with a nightmare. I think that we can't let them off the hook because they breached their duty to the previous homeowners and the current homeowners, actually. Because it sounds like we're in a really huge hole, and it's not a hole that it's not our fault that we're in this hole. Now, holding them accountable require a lawsuit.
I believe that the board is addressing that factor. I'm not sure where they are with that, but I believe that is being addressed.
All
what
the
type
accounts
of turnover happened and what was supposed to happen and what the HOA what the builder still may possibly be responsible for. But
So
I'm not really in those meetings.
So all the accounts, to answer your question, ma'am, what was happening is the accounts were not being referred and consistently referred to the attorney. So when the board came in, the first action we took was to put in place a payment policy, which said if your account goes more than 90 days or is more than you have a balance more than $500, you're automatically going to the attorney. Okay. If you don't have a payment, that's if you don't have a payment plan established with the CAM. And we provided those options, and unfortunately, people just didn't take advantage of them. So all of the accounts that had balances above $500 are at the attorney, and we're waiting for the appropriate legal disposition.
Oh, I understand that, but my question isn't really about the homeowners. It's about the builder. It was the builder's job to make sure that everyone paid, and they failed to do their duty. They failed
I'm
their
not going to disagree
fiduciary
with you
duty,
there.
and they should be held accountable. We are like, we're in a huge hole. You know, we moved in last year. We didn't think that we were moving into a, you know, this kind of situation. And I guess my point is that we shouldn't let them off the hook if possible. Lawsuits are expensive and that actually might cost the board more. But I mean, I guess my question was, are we going to do something? Are we trying to do something? And from what I heard, we are trying. Okay.
And,
Thank you.
and to clarify, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, is the 3,500 our actual delinquency?
Ma'am,
Say
you're
it again.
breaking up.
Say it again for me,
I was
ma'am.
asking, is the 3,500 our actual delinquency at this moment?
So
Or-
what we do is, Mike, if you had that line for me, that line, what they do is we use accrual accounting, and so we take the
Yeah.
$6,000 and we divide it across the year, right? We take that and divide it across the year. That is not our actual delinquency rate. Our actual delinquency for current homeowners, just total, is $54,383, of which
Okay.
approximately $12,000, give or take, is from this year. If
Got it.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Anita has had her hand up for a while. Are you still there, ma'am? Anita, are you
Hi,
there?
yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you pretty much answered the questions about, I guess, what we're doing as far as this precinct
Okay.
this last year. I want to say November meeting. So yeah, you pretty much answered the question I had.
Okay, thank you. Paula Epps has a hand up. Paula, are you there?
You keep being muted. Okay. So we said we had 12 families, estimating 12 families from last year who did not pay. Did we estimate another number of families that may not pay now that we're increasing the HOA fee to $785? Have we anticipated now a number for that delinquency because we quite sure it's going to be a delinquency at $785?
Well, so what we said we would do, and Mike's gonna keep me on this because we're working on this together here. So what we said we would do, we said that 15 families would not contribute next year at 785. That's what we're looking at the data. What we said we would do is figure out where we are in September and figure out, based on that, we will determine if that's the best level. So we do know what 20 homes would look like for delinquencies. So we might choose, based on data and based on where we sit from when we prepare version 3 of the budget, we might decide to increase it from 15 homes to 20 homes. But remember, the more we increase that allowance, we're going to have to cut expenditures.
Well, we may have to cut expenditures anyway because I can't see if we got 15 now with our 600 a month. Now we went up a whole $185. It's going to be more than 20. So something has to be cut because there's no way we're not going to be able to make that. Being realistically about the whole situation.
Hey, I want to also give you the reality of this part. There is not a lot of opportunities to cut things. When you look at the budget, we have gutted a lot of things here on this. If you look at all these things that were zeros, that were not zeros the last time, special events $3,000, that's zeroed out. Security services $1,250, that's zeroed out. So we have the main things that we have kept in this budget are things that we are currently contractually obligated to pay. So I don't see a lot of opportunities to cut anything. I mean, I'm not sure what can possibly happen with
What's
with the
the
landscaping.
contract? What's the contract term on the trash? Like where are we in the contract for the Amber's disposal?
That's one of your largest expenses, and
Right.
that contract will end in 2025, and that rate is fixed. So if you want to cut, if you're talking about cutting, that's one of your largest expenses. Between that and landscaping, that's your largest expenses. And so we would have to cut. We are paying. I don't have the number. Don't quote me on the
No,
number.
I see that, but what I'm saying is, can we have the contract reviewed by the attorney to see if, because we are in financial struggle, because right now we're getting twice a week pickup.
Right. That is correct.
We've reduced to once a week, which of course is not ideal, but again, it is one of our biggest expenditures. So if you cut that number in half, you have $50,000 in expenses theoretically. I'm estimating it's a projection. It's not exact, but again, we're at 106. We're at 107,000. If we could get that closer to 50 with a once a week pickup, then we could at least have $50,000 to go towards the number that we need to budget for our reserve allocation. And then you do have those other little increases, but it takes care of what we're saying is the most prevalent one that we don't have a choice about.
So your point.
So I'm just saying, because again, we're in a situation. It's not ideal. I like having my trash picked up twice a week too, but I mean, I just think that we have to explore all options. And if
we can take a look at the ground maintenance of that 81,000. We don't get much for that. That's another expense we can look at. That 81,000 where it says ground and lawn maintenance.
That's to cut. That line is to cut the grass of your common areas. That's all that goes all summer from, what is that, Saron? Is it March? I think April through October.
It's a certain amount of cuttings. It takes care of the whole year. Of course, we don't cut the grass in the wintertime, but it basically gives a number of cuttings for the entire year.
And I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying single-handedly I would make that decision, but I think that if we're talking about a substantial increase, then maybe that could at least be put out as get a majority to say, okay, well, it's looking projected that it's going to go up to 185, but we may be able to offset that and cut that increase in half if we go to 1 day a week. I mean, I think we just have to be creative about trying to make it as affordable as possible until some of these things can.
So absolutely. So again, my name is Theron. I'm the landscaping committee chair. And I'm 100% on board with you. I'm a homeowner just like you. Don't want my dues going up like that. So that's why I said earlier that we hope that 40 whatever it was, 48,000, whatever that number was for the shrubberies. I am literally trying to nickel and dime them and say, no, we don't need these trees in order to build that expense back in. But like Michael said, because we're in a contract, we have the budget for what we agreed to. But as a committee, we are trying to shave those costs down, so that maybe when we get to the actual, it's much less than what we actually budgeted for.
I want everybody to keep in mind also that this is version 2 of the budget. There's going to be a version 3 that's going to come out. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be published. September. And all of these things are going to be taken into consideration. I can tell you just from my own personal perspective, at the beginning of this process, I told every single board member that if my HOA fees went up more than $100 in 2023, that I was going to march with pitchforks and tiki torches. I'm looking right now at what I'm seeing here, and I don't see a method where our HOA fees are not going to go up by less than $100 in any scenario. And I want everybody to keep in mind that it is primarily because of House Bill 107. That's what's really, really killing us. Now, anything else that we can do that may help, but for my personal pockets, it's gonna really be infinitesimal because I don't want to pay an additional $185 a year, you know. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. We can run all the different scenarios, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a hard sell with a lot of homeowners reducing down to maybe one day of trash pickup a week, especially if it's only going to reduce the cost by like maybe $10 per homeowner. I've been here since 2009,
Yeah,
and this was an
that's not
argument that a lot of people have had where we really want that 2 days trash pickup, and I don't think it's necessarily worth $10.
But it's
in
not, it wouldn't be
HOA
$10
fees.
at $50,000. Where are we getting $10?
I'm just saying that you're saying the $50,000 will equate to whatever number.
Right,
We'll
it's like
run the
it's
numbers
about
and
half,
see.
it's
But
about half of the increase. So it's cutting the increase from a 185 to a 90 to a 100 or just under $100. So it's cutting
Maybe,
the increase in half. Is
maybe.
what I'm talking about.
So if this delinquency, so listen, if and I hate to keep going here, but here's the reality. Here are the choices that we have to make, right? We have to decide on what the tolerance for a doubtful accounts is going to be. Was it really going to be, right? And then we have to decide on what's the quality of the services that we want, right? So everybody complained about landscaping, and landscaping wasn't doing a great job, so we rebid it. And you know, trash. One of the things we went and looked in at the trash contract, because that's one of your other the largest one of your, that was the largest contract. And one of the things we said is let's fix our rate for 3 years so we don't get those inflationary costs, right? So if we go in and open up that contract again, we're going to get the prevailing rate, whatever that is. So that's a risk. If the homeowners are willing to take that risk, that's a risk that we open ourselves up to go at the prevailing rate. So we're like 1650 a month per household. And so only roughly $220 of your HOA fee is going to pick up your trash.
I have a hand up by Marilyn.
I was just gonna ask, because I know that a lot of these are contractual obligations, but have we tried to maybe renegotiate and amend?
Yeah, we
Like
actually
the,
spoke to that earlier in the meeting,
okay,
ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
And
you've done everything you could.
no. That's an option that we are considering.
And just FYI, the trash contract, we just did the trash contract in February. We just redid the trash contract in February.
Now, Paula, do you have another question?
I know we were talking about the trash, but landscaping may be something else that we can maybe take a look at. If not just the trash, then maybe the landscaping, since we just opened up that contract with the trash company. We may have to look at some other areas because we just got that contract. So that may be an issue with us trying to open it up and rebid on that. But maybe there's some other areas that we can look at that maybe we can pinch a little bit from here and there, just so that, because looking at raising it to 785, our delinquency rate is going to be way out the water. If we had hard trouble at the 5 and the 600, 785 is I don't know how anybody's thinking that we're not going to have a high delinquency rate. We're going to have a high one. So we have to find some other options. I just want to throw them out on the table if we could.
And those options are being explored. I believe Theron mentioned looking at the landscaping contract and things like that. So we're looking at all these different possibilities. And I think we did mention that earlier today as well. If there's a CC, a person CC, you have a hand up?
Yes, I wanted to know, have we looked at renegotiating with another trash company? And the reason I ask is because the company that we have currently, when they pick up the trash, they leave the trash in front of your house or in the middle of the street, as well as the recycle trucks. And then when you ask them to pick it up, they, get angry and, so I was just wondering if, have you all looked at that option as well, like renegotiating with another trash company?
I believe we're looking at all the possibilities, but I do want to clarify that recycling is Charles County and it's not a trash company. That's not anything that's in our contract, or we don't pay anything for that.
So
That's correct.
okay. So,
And if your
okay.
trash is not in the toter, in a bin, then they're not gonna
No,
collect
well,
your
my
trash.
trash is in a can, but what I'm saying
I
is when they come by and pick up the trash,
Yeah.
sometimes what's in their truck flies
Truck.
over the top. Yeah, I mean they leave it in the middle of the street. I've even called the company and they're supposed to pick it up, but I don't even know who else I can talk to but you guys. But that's just annoying
Hi,
to
this is Steve Ron with the
individuals.
landscaping committee. I'll see if we can reach out, but I've had that same problem and I've called the company as well and complained directly to them. I don't know what else we can do. We can register a complaint with Century Portal. I mean, it's just throwing more gas on the fire. But I mean, we have let them know. We've contacted them and let them know when we had problems. So I will continue to pester them if need be.
See a hand from Anita.
Hi, yes, I just had a question about the landscaping again. What are we doing about the reserves, those trees we can't pretty much touch? We're coming up on the winter and a lot of these trees are going dead and causing some damages to the house. I know I had an issue when I first moved in last year. So I'm just trying to figure out I do apologize if I missed it in the beginning, but like, what are we planning on? What is the plan for those trees we can't pretty much touch?
So this is Theron again with the landscaping committee. So if the trees are, depends on where the trees are. If the trees are located on community property or HOA property, then that's something that we can take care of. If the tree is in your property or the tree is in a forest conservatory, there's not a lot we can do. So it all depends on where the tree is at. So um, I hope that answers your question.
And Miss Anita, this is Nakia, one of your neighbors. I have experienced the issue with the reserve trees, and I contacted the county, and they came and trimmed them back. So that might be an option. It wasn't on
Okay,
this
thank you. You
property,
said
a
the county.
different property that I own, but just passing that on. That's what I did.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we have a hand
Can I
from
clarify
Hans.
something? I just saw something in chat. The trash contract is not for 5 years. Trash contract is not. We don't have a contract that's more than 3 years. The trash contract will end in February of 2025. What I stated was that we fixed the rate for 3 years to avoid inflationary costs because we could not get a handle on what does it really cost to pick up trash. Because when we did the analysis on the numbers, we kept seeing different numbers every single year. So we wanted to fix the rate so we could, one, control cost, um, and be able to plan accordingly. So there's not a 5-year contract around trash or anything else for that matter.
Okay, we have a hand from Hans.
Yes, good evening. So I had a question. As I am aware that Section 7 is still under the developer, so Section 7 is still contributing to the HOA just like everyone else. So if we're not, if, and I live in Section 7, if we're not, getting the grass cut and the landscaping services, where is that money going towards? Because from next year, I believe that, you know, um, the developer would have already hand over to the HOA. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of that because it seems unfair.
So Hans, your the association still pays for the trash collection in section 7. The only thing,
I understand that. Yeah,
and we don't, and the only thing that we're not paying for is the landscaping over there because it's a
correct.
small area. Once that area it was supposed to be transferred by now. I'm just be totally honest with you. It should have been done by now, but once it's transferred over, um, it will, those fees will be, we'll be paying for the landscaping over there. Um,
So where is that fund going towards right
it's
now?
balance,
That's my question.
it balances the budget. I think it's only
Because
7.
don't you see like it's kind of unfair? We're paying for a whole year of like services, and then some other people get the services, and we have a budget issue. I'm just saying.
I'm with you, Hans. I'm not going. I've been straight with you. It was supposed to be done by
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
on us. You know, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, when we balanced the budget, we built the budget on 500. They built the budget on. We built the budget on 540 homes, right? 540 homes, and the section 7 was included in that number. So you're still getting the management services. You're still getting the accounting of your accounting ledgers and all that stuff. Um, yeah, I'm s- that's the best answer I have, Hans. To be honest with you.
Thanks, Thomas.
We have a hand from Evangeline.
Hi, this is Dr. Val Williams, and I have a question. When you say the HOA fees will be raised, you mean and you're saying next year, you mean 5 months from now, correct? January, that meaning next year?
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. So that's 5 months from now.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I don't see any other hands here, but I do want to let everybody know that this finance committee, I want to reiterate the fact that we're scheduled to meet every fourth Monday at 7 p.m. And anyone is welcome to join this committee to get involved in the conversations that are going to steer where we go financially in the future. There's no criteria that you need to meet to join this committee. Uh, and even if you don't want to join the committee and you just want to attend these meetings where these conversations are taking place, I encourage you to do so. In the regular community meetings, you don't really always have the time to specifically address your budget or your money issues. And this is a forum where everybody could express whatever concern they have, or even if you may possibly have ideas. But we really encourage you to get involved because a lot of decisions will be at least workshopped in this committee and then presented to the board for approval or implementation. Now, I do see that Crystal has a hand up.
Yes, good evening. Thank you all so much for providing this information. I put this in the chat, but I just want to ensure that someone saw it. The I'm hoping that in the budget somewhere there could be it could be considered to put a speed bump coming to the from the other neighborhood within the community. I don't know what that street is right now. Um, coming to Bancroft, because cars do not see or they ignore that stop sign. We live on Bancroft, and we've almost been hit a couple of times from cars not stopping at that stop sign. And I've also seen other cars almost colliding because people do not stop at that stop sign.
I'll say that the association doesn't. We don't have responsibility for the roads or traffic calming, and we don't fund those issues from a budget perspective. Work with the What committee is that? Safety and Security Committee. I know we put in. I know we put some things in at the county traffic committee, and it was denied for a stop sign. I think it was on Bancroft. Another stop sign on Bancroft. For whatever reason, they
That's
denied
true.
it. Is that
It
right?
There is a stop sign. It's just that a lot of people don't stop at the stop sign, not on
Yeah.
Bancroft, but coming from the other neighborhood. So if you
Mhm.
come in and you make that right to go to the other neighborhood, or when they're coming out, they make the left to exit the development. That stop sign, people don't stop there, and someone's gonna get hurt one day.
Yeah, I know the police are doing extra patrols out here. I would send a note to the Safety and Security Committee, and I think the board has a meeting on the 31st. Raise it there, and Brian Creighton has responsibility for the Safety and Security Committee. So
Okay,
definitely bring your concern there and talk to Brian.
thank you.
And refer that to Safety and Security. Yes, ma'am.
We have a hand from Shadon.
Good evening. I have one question. I'm fairly new in the neighborhood, and so I just wanted to know when I get the bill for my homeowners association fees, would it be the entire 600 for the year, or would it be prorated due to we just moving in?
Yours should be prorated, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
If it is not prorated, then reach out to the CAM at Century, and they should be able to fix that for you.
Okay.
All right, we're over an hour and a half for this meeting, so I think we're going to go ahead and end it. However, if you have any other concerns, or if you have anything to contribute, I do encourage you to attend the next Finance Committee meeting. That meeting is scheduled for the fourth Monday in September, or we may have to change that because there's going to be I may have some scheduling conflicts. So be on the lookout for when that next meeting is going to take place. But I do thank everyone for attending this meeting. And again, I'm going to keep foot stomping and encourage homeowners to join this committee, because this is where a lot of workshopping and potential decisions will be presented to the board for adoption or implementation. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Again, thanks everyone for coming, and have a good night.
Good night. Hey, excuse
Thank
me, are
you.
you still on?